One of the best examples could be United Kingdom, which has more than 150 universities, which generate huge influence for the country. Knowledge diplomacy has been happening over a long period of time. For centuries, people have been traveling. And if you look at in the Islamic world, the oldest universities were established here, and people were traveling, and they will take knowledge from country to country.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the show. Today, our guest is Professor Fazal Malik. He is a seasoned academic leader with decades of hands-on experience in strategy, governance, accreditation, and transnational education. Currently, serving as a senior advisory consultant to the Dubai Institute of Design and Innovation. Professor Fazal previously served as Pro-Vice Chancellor at Amity University, Dubai, and Associate Dean at the Higher College of Technology in the UAE. Before transitioning into academia, he worked as a broadcast journalist for the BBC in the UK. And as an academician, researcher, and practitioner, he has designed and delivered innovative programs, led complex academic operations, and championed technology-driven initiatives. Welcome to the show, Professor Malik. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Dr. Dilshad. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Malik. Can you please tell me about your journey till now?
Yes, I have been in the United Arab Emirates now nearly for 18 years. As you said earlier on, I was working as a broadcast journalist for the BBC in the UK. I worked in different cities there, Leicester, Birmingham. I was in London as well. And finally, I made a transition into academia in 2006, 2007. When I came to the United Arab Emirates, I joined Higher College of Technology, and I was actually responsible for expanding the media and innovation program. I left Higher College of Technology in 2016 after serving for nearly 9 years there. I left as associate dean there for applied media department, and I joined Amity University in 2016, and I have been there for another 8, 9 years. I left Amity only last year, and I was responsible. I was the pro-vice chancellor there, as you rightly said. I was responsible for accreditation of its 26 programs and also got its licensure done and established Amity University as an independent degree awarding institution in the UAE. Now, since last year, I have been advising Dubai Institute of Design and Innovation and consulting them on as they expand their programs, as they go for international accreditations as well.
Thank you, Professor Malik. And you're working on this knowledge diplomacy. For our audience, can you please tell me in short, what is this knowledge diplomacy and what is the role in today's globalized context?
Yes, knowledge diplomacy is the process of using intellectual capital of a country or a state in sort of promoting its soft power to bridge the gulf, to bridge the gap between nations, between communities, between cultures across the world. Though it's not a new concept, but if you look at historically, people have been traveling and people have been visiting places in order to seek knowledge. And when they go back to their countries where they come from, they become ambassadors of that knowledge and of that country and of that institution. So in a way, it's a process of addressing mutual, bilateral, and international issues and challenges and harnessing opportunities by using the knowledge, by generating the knowledge, by sharing the knowledge.
Why do you think that knowledge is emerging as a new form of diplomacy alongside political and economical relations?
Though, as I said earlier on, knowledge diplomacy has been happening over a long period of time. For centuries, people have been traveling. And if you look at In the Islamic world, the oldest universities were established here, and people were traveling, and they will take knowledge from country to country, and with that, they will take the culture, they will take the best things of that country and spread it in other parts of the world. But what's happening now is knowledge has become and sort of a power in many ways, and people who have knowledge, who generate knowledge, they actually take that knowledge to other parts of the world with a persuasion and with some sort of influence on, as you said, on political and on economics affairs as well. So knowledge and diplomacy, in a way, it complements other forms of international relations across countries and across regions. One of the best examples could be United Kingdom, which has more than 150 universities, which generate huge influence for the country, and besides generating a lot of revenue. So besides that, the influence, universities like Oxford, Cambridge hold those institutions in great esteem and great respect. And the research which happens in those universities, at the same time, the innovation which happens in those universities, that's diffused across the world, and people actually, it helps to address some of the challenges in the globe, across the globe, and also it helps people to harness the opportunities, to use those opportunities for creating employment, for creating remedies, and creating some of solutions of the pertinent problems world faces across. Like, for example, climate change is one of the things. The research which happens in the UK universities is happening somewhere in the research outcomes are helping somewhere in Nepal, somewhere in Bangladesh, somewhere in Sri Lanka.
Mm.
Similarly, something what happens, India is producing a huge intellectual asset in terms of IT professionals who go to Silicon Valley. If you look at that, the lot of Indian potential goes Silicon Valley. And if you look at least 10 big CEOs of big technological firms come from Indian subcontinent. This shows that along with this political and economic integration across the globalized world we live in, knowledge is playing a crucial part to bridge the gap between the countries and between different cultures as well.
Mm. Thank you. Now, can you please share an example where knowledge sharing has successfully bridged gaps between nations or communities?
Yeah, there are a lot of examples of this, where knowledge has not only bridged the gap, but it has benefited people from across the world. I will give you one example, that's of the COVID-19 vaccine. If you look at when COVID spread in 2020, and there was a sort of, it was an emergency, and I think in Feb or March 2020, World Health Organization announced it as an epidemic. And at the same time, while people were in this panic state about what's going to happen now, and there were a lot of casualties, a lot of loss of life, but at the same time, research institutions across the globe were working day and night to find a solution to create a vaccine for this. And if we look at that, there has been sort of a lot of organizations came together, and a lot of funds were collected together, and at least 12 universities were involved in doing some research, and those research results and outcomes were shared across the globe. Eventually, a vaccine was created. And if you look at that, COVAX was the first one, which was WHO-led initiative, and later on, clinical trials were carried out in different parts of the world. Finally, what happened was, it was the Pfizer, a US
Mm.
pharmaceutical company, which created a vaccine, and Moderna in United States created another one, which was RNA based, and Sinopharm was created in China, and Sputnik in Russia. Eventually, where the universities were coming together, these pharmaceutical companies, even different parts of them, were working with university professors to create a solution. And eventually, where were these manufactured? They were manufactured in India. And India was the biggest producer of the vaccines, which were dispersed all across the world. So while the knowledge was being generated and created in the labs, in the workshops, in the laboratories, and there were financial institutions behind that, and This knowledge was being transferred to a factory somewhere in India, in Mumbai, where these were created. And eventually, then there others came in. But this is a very good example of where different global institutions, global universities came together to find a solution to a problem which was affecting everyone in the globe.
Mhm. That means the roles of universities and research institutions play a vital role in advancing knowledge diplomacy.
I can give you another example besides this emergency wherein
Mhm.
everybody came together to find a solution. In United Kingdom, as I said earlier on, there are around more than 150 universities, including those 50 which is called the Russell Group. They come in the top 50
Mhm.
universities. They have been always promoted by an organization called British Council, which go across the world
Mhm.
through this global language of English. They promote these universities and they promote the research of these universities. And also, if you look at, there are so many think tanks, there are so many consultants, there are so many research groups within UK which influence research, which influence politics, which influence international relations in many parts of the world. And British Council has become like a overarching group which promotes British universities in different parts of the world. This is another example of how the knowledge, how the intellectual sort of an asset is being dispersed across the world, which creates goodwill for the United Kingdom. United Kingdom, yes, of course, it has been a colonial power, but look at the influence these have, and universities play a major part in through their sort of knowledge diplomacy. They create a huge impact world over.
Thank you. How can student exchanges like joint research and academic networks strengthen international cooperation? What's the role of
Actually,
research student
this,
exchange? Mm.
yeah, it's a very good question, actually. Student exchange, faculty exchange, joint research projects can be seen as indispensable part of this knowledge diplomacy. We
Mhm.
see scholarships being offered, bursaries being offered, joint research being promoted across universities in different parts of the world to promote that understanding of sharing knowledge and finding solutions which impact us as human beings all over the world. And whenever a student goes from one country to another country and he studies there or he learns there, he works on a problem there, he becomes ambassador of that country and of that university, what he learns there, and he takes his learning to another part of the world. So this is
Mhm.
a good example of, and universities have been promoting, and more universities are joining hands now. We can see in last 20, 30 years, there is a proliferation of these international campuses in different
Mhm.
parts of the
Yes,
world.
yes.
Even in the UAE, we
Mhm.
have at least 2 dozen international university campuses which are coming from UAE, United Kingdom, from United States, from Australia, even from Russia, from India. We have top three, four universities here, including the uh, Indian Institute of Technology is in Abu Dhabi. Now, Indian Institute of Management is opening in Dubai. Similarly, we have other Indian private universities who are actually openly collaborating with local knowledge generators here. And at the same time, they offer research opportunities, they offer entrepreneurship opportunities to local students, especially for the GCC. This is another example of knowledge diplomacy actually creating tangible outcomes.
Thank you. How this technology, particularly artificial intelligence and digital platforms, changing the landscape of knowledge diplomacy?
Look, if we look at this, technology is completely intertwined with knowledge seeking and knowledge generation. We cannot think of knowledge seeking and knowledge generation without the help of technology.
Mm.
Technology is in every sphere of life, whether in STEM subjects or in humanities, in arts, in design, you name it, everywhere technology is making a huge difference, not only in the quality of the outcomes, but also speed at which things are changing and things are happening. In many ways, we have been able to overcome the challenges faced by time and space. I have seen in many parts of the world people working in different time zones, they work in different sort of geographical spaces, and they work 24/7 to create this. And this has been all possible because of the technology. And
Mhm.
at the same time, universities are increasingly using artificial intelligence research in their ecosystem. And it's not only artificial intelligence is not just used as a tool, it's used as a collaborator now. It has become an integral part.
Mhm.
So AI is a game changer, and we all know it's changing everything around us. And in knowledge generation, it's creating things at a faster speed and with better results, and with the accuracy is much more um, is higher than what it used to be. And in knowledge diplomacy, to bring it back to our main topic, as a discourse, this is very important that global problems are also being challenged or being addressed through the use of technology and especially artificial intelligence. If you look at what artificial intelligence is doing, it's doing automation,
Mhm.
it's doing natural language processing, what we call the NLP, and
Mhm.
generative artificial intelligence now. Besides, we see speed or rapid data analysis, we see streamlined collaboration with higher accuracy, as I earlier on said. So, in a way, technology and artificial intelligence is here for good, but as we will discuss later on, there has to be a framework, there has to be a sort of a principled use of artificial intelligence, especially in education and knowledge generation, which can benefit people and which does not create unequal partners where everyone is actually benefiting from the fruits which technology and artificial intelligence can bring in knowledge generation and in international collaboration and cooperation.
Do you believe that artificial intelligence governance and ethical frameworks are part of global knowledge diplomacy?
Uh, It's a difficult question, but very pertinent question. A very, very important question. It's last 5, 6 years since this generative artificial intelligence has come into, and everybody is talking about it. Especially, I don't see any seminar, any workshop, any conference where there is not mention of artificial intelligence. But the
Mhm.
question is this: what about the governance? What about the ethical framework? What about the
Mhm.
professional practice? There is sort of a more what we call a fragmented approach. Every university, every institution is using its own means, and they are using their existing policies, which were made 20, 30 years back, to dealing with ethical issues, which do not really hold good for artificial intelligence and the speed at which technology is changing. So, artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies in academia are evolving at a very fast, pace. So, this fragmented approach will not work. What we need to do is we need to have universities need to create a unanimous policy where there is an agreement between institutions, because universities cannot exist in silos. They cannot be compartment, they cannot remain in compartments. Knowledge is spreading, and the whole idea of knowledge diplomacy is to take the benefits of knowledge from one institution to another institution. So there has to be a dialogue, and there has to be a framework which actually can govern artificial use of artificial intelligence, and how the outcomes of artificial intelligence can be equally distributed across the world. At the moment, unfortunately, there is not much um, a unified sort of approach towards developing an ethical framework or creating professional practices for use of new technology and artificial intelligence in any part of the world. Though there are some efforts being made, but at the moment we are too much carried away by the impact of it. We don't look at what could be the implications of it on future of knowledge and how it can be used in future. There can be unscrupulous elements who might use it for the wrong reason, and at the moment it looks very difficult. Everybody is looking at how can we stop students writing an essay using artificial intelligence. I think these are very smaller issue. The bigger issue is to look at how can we create a framework not only to check that, but to check how artificial intelligence is used applied and how its outcomes are distributed for the betterment of humanity. There are conventions that provide framework for international relations and political. There are already, it's an established field in international relations. And because I'm coming back to the topic of knowledge diplomacy and trying to relate it to that. So there are always, while knowledge is developing at a fast pace, and its application in sort of bridging the gap between the countries and addressing global challenges is very critical and very important. But we need to have conventions which deal with the technology and its evolution and its application in a different way. We cannot use some rules and conventions which have been used in other domains, but it needs its own professors, thinkers, and lawyers have to come together to develop a policy, a framework, a governance mechanism that can help to equally distribute its benefits and benefit the society as a whole.
What an inspiring conversation with Professor Fazal Malik on the power of knowledge diplomacy, reminding us that education is not just about degrees, but about building understanding, empathy, and shared progress across borders. His insights highlight how universities can become true ambassadors of peace and innovation in a rapidly changing world. Thank you, Professor Malik, for sharing your vision and experience. And to all our listeners, stay tuned to the AI Research Road podcast for more thought-provoking dialogues at the intersection of AI, education, and global collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dilshad. It was a pleasure to be with you in this podcast today.